Did you know that only 1% of LSAT takers are using a study trick that can dramatically boost their scores? And the wildest part, it's not even a secret. It's been hiding in plain sight the whole time, but most people are too busy doing more to notice it. Today, I'm going to show you how this strategy can unlock massive gains in your score without burning yourself out. First, for those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally increased my own LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. Now, let me ask you something. How would it feel to walk into test day knowing you had an edge over 99% of other students? By the time we're done here, you'll not only know this strategy, but also how to use it to get the kind of results that make law schools throw scholarship money at you. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, another trick, what makes this one different? But let me paint you a picture. You're staring at a tough logical reasoning question. You've narrowed it down to your final two choices again. You reread the question, you reread the answers, but you're still stuck. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking, your stress is climbing, and you're kicking yourself for not preparing better. Sound familiar? But what if I told you there's a way to dramatically reduce those moments? That's what this strategy does. And here's the thing, this isn't some gimmick. It's not about working harder or putting in more hours. It's about fixing the real problem. Now, let's get straight to it. The trick is something I call active error analysis. And no, this isn't just to review your wrong answers. That's amateur level LSAT prep. But this is about taking every single mistake that you make, dissecting it, and turning it into a concrete roadmap for improvement. Now, here's why this works. Most people approach their LSAT mistakes passively. They glance at the right answer, nod, and think, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then they just move on, not realizing they've learned nothing. On the other hand, active error analysis is different. It's about breaking down every mistake with the precision of a surgeon, understanding exactly what went wrong and making sure you never repeat it. So, why aren't more people doing this? The truth is, most students are obsessed with volume. More practice tests, more drilling, more hours. They think if they just work harder, they'll eventually get there. But the LSAT doesn't reward brute force. It rewards strategy and precision. Think about it. If you keep making the same mistakes over and over, no amount of extra work will fix that. You're just practicing your errors. That's like trying to get into shape by doing push-ups with bad form. You're just setting yourself up for injury. So here's how active error analysis works. First, you flag the mistakes that matter. And you don't just mark the wrong answers, you also flag the ones you struggled with even if you got them right. These are the ones where your reasoning was shaky. Then you write down your initial thoughts. Before you look at the right answers, you write down exactly why you chose the answer you did, what made it seem right, and why did you eliminate the others. Then you compare your thinking. You look at the right answer and you don't just focus on why it's right, you dig into why your reasoning was wrong. Then you categorize your errors. For example, was it a misread of the question? Was it a logical flaw or a vocabulary issue? You want to categorize the mistake so that you can spot patterns. Then you revisit the question. A few days later, you try to solve it again without looking at the explanation. This step cements the correct reasoning in your brain. And this process is what separates the good enough students from the top scorers. Now, if you're wondering why active error analysis works, it's because it forces you to engage deeply with your thought process. Neuroscience tells us that learning happens when we connect new information to existing knowledge, but passive review doesn't create those connections while active analysis does. When you do this, you're not just learning the material, you're actually rewiring your brain to approach future questions differently. You're training it to see patterns, recognize traps, and respond faster. Now, you might be wondering, doesn't this take a ton of time? How do I know it's worth it? Now, I've worked with students who were stuck in the mid-150s and felt like they'd hit a wall. But once they started doing active error analysis, their scores jumped within just a few weeks by 10, 15, even 20 points. One student told me it was like flipping a switch in their brain. And by the way, these aren't people who are studying 8 hours a day. They're just working smarter, not harder. Now, the LSAT isn't just about getting into law school, it's also about scholarship money. It's about options. Every point you gain can mean tens of thousands of dollars in scholarship money over the course of 3 years of law school. But this strategy is your secret weapon. While everyone else is grinding through practice tests and hoping for the best, you'll be systematically eliminating your weaknesses and stacking the deck in your favor. If this resonates with you, if you'd like my help, I've got a free resource that will help you take this even further. It's my free Easy LSAT cheat sheet, packed with concrete, actionable strategies to help you study smarter, not harder, and you can grab yours using the link below. Again, 100% free. So let me leave you with this. Are you okay with being good enough, or do you want to be exceptional? Because the difference between those two isn't talent or effort, it's strategy. The LSAT is an opportunity to stand out. Don't waste it. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.